Okay, so I think everybody can hear me and see the screen clearly enough. I've not had any comments, so I will continue. Thank you ever so much all for joining. Today's webinar is about introducing you to Synergist, the project management system, but also who we are, the agency works. I want to talk to you a bit about how we work with our clients as well. So not only do we offer, obviously, the project management system Synergist, but we also work very closely alongside of our clients to help reduce some challenges. Just off the top of my head, some of those being things like over-servicing, not having the visibility on key performance indicators, also, more, I guess, process type challenges, such as a team of creatives or a studio team being really busy and asking for more resource. However, that team aren't hitting their utilisation targets. So how we can go about putting things in place to help that, ensuring that we're basically getting paid for the work that we do as a business, as we all are. So just to start by introducing who we are, instead of doing my usual show all the pictures on a PowerPoint, I thought, well, do you know what? It's on the website, so I'll show you all here. So this is our lovely team. And then, of course, we've got Lenny, our little office dog, at the bottom there. We work with over 500 agencies implementing Synergist, the system. We also do offer consultancy on its own, so you don't have to buy the system to work with us. We do work with a number of agencies just purely on business process type stuff. I'm going to be showing you around Synergist, the project management system today. Also, just wanted to make you all aware, these are really beneficial for any agency, whether you are using Synergist, whether you're using different tools, or if you're looking to use Synergist. I know we've got some clients on today. We've also got some people that have looked at Synergist in the past and people that are looking at Synergist currently at the moment. Also, because this webinar was really popular, I have got other dates for it. So if any of you want to join another one of these sessions, please let me know afterwards and I can send you these dates. But here we've got some of the webinars that we put on. So we've got things like managing new business. We've got top tips for client services. We've also got things like how to reduce over-servicing. We've got top tips for Synergist users as well. So for those of you that do use Synergist, please feel free to join any of those. All of them are free. Hopefully you'll find those nice and beneficial. So let's switch over to our Synergist system, which I'm sure you're all waiting to have a look at. What I'm going to do is give you a really nice brief overview of the whole system. For those of you that haven't seen the system for a while, you will notice that there are a number of nice new updates and changes to it, which I'll try and point out if I remember, but I'm sure you'll be aware of the changes anyway. As you can see, it looks slightly different as well. So Synergist is a full project management system that has everything from your CRM. So that could be basic CRM, such as logging activity, either between yourselves about a client or prospect, or between yourselves and that client or prospect. So you've got your log of activities, you've got your to-do lists, you can have your list of what needs to be done today, who I need to call, who I need to email, like your follow-ups and things. But then you've also got your more granular CRM, which you've actually got in front of you all now. Should be able to see that on your screen, where you've got a list of all of your opportunities. This is looking at more your pipeline, your weighting values, and things like expected close dates. The benefits of having all of this in here is when you're then reporting, so this comes back to one of those challenges I mentioned, so visibility on the key performance indicators. I think we also need to look at the visibility on our planning stages as agencies. So what we need to know is, so we've got all of this resource, what value do we potentially have coming through? And also what time do we potentially have coming through? So what resource do we need? What jobs are potentially coming through? Now, if you add things like weighting values on this system, when you're reporting, the accuracy increases because you can do it based on that weighting value, which is, for those of you that might not use that, it's the chance that you think you have of winning each of these opportunities. So rather than, say you've got an opportunity valued at £10,000, but actually, at this current moment in time, you've only got probably 50% chance of winning it due to circumstances. Well, rather than pulling through, like, oh, yes, we've got this potential 10 grand coming through in June or July, it's actually just going to pull 5 grand through, so 50% of that. It just makes your reporting, your forecasting a lot more accurate. Okay, so you can plan ahead with accurate data. So each of our opportunities also have their own card. One of the challenges that comes up a lot is not having everything in one place. So people are using either a number of different online tools, or they might be using loads of different spreadsheets. By having all of this in one place, there's obviously reduced risk of any error. Anybody can just come into the system and see exactly what's happening, when it's happening. It saves time through efficiency of just, day-to-day use of the system. And obviously your reporting is going to be a lot more accurate as well. With the reporting, Synergist has got pretty much endless reporting. So you've got your customizable reports, you've got your dashboard, you've also got some standard reports here. So you've got your profitability, your WIP, your timesheet reports, utilisation. And if I just show you some of the dashboards as well, you've got these. Now, one of the things that we work with the agencies that we do alongside of Synergist with is not only, oh, look, you've got all of these nice fancy reports. It's very much a case of what are we going to do with these reports? So here, for example, you've got how many available hours do we have within our agency to sell? If we've got 10 resource and they work, 40-hour weeks, and their utilisation is 75% target to be utilised 75%, how many hours does that equal? That would be in here. What we can do then is monitor that on a monthly, quarterly, 6-monthly basis that they are being sold. If they're not, this is where we need to take action on this valuable data that we've got. So we could start looking at things like our pipeline, and I'm just going to change that to funnel because it looks nicer. We can start looking at things like our pipeline and say, right, okay, well, actually, now we're using the new business side of the system as well, we can see that we've got a number of opportunities that we're in negotiation with. Let's try and get those pushed through, and ensuring that we're selling the number of hours that we have available. One of the things that could happen if we're not selling the number of hours in which we have available is over-servicing can start occurring. So one of the main reasons for over-servicing is that the resource are spending too much time on a job. One of the reasons that the resource might be spending too much time on a job could be because they haven't got the ongoing work. So they've got something in front of them and there aren't enough hours running through the business. Everyone still seems very busy because they're creative-minded people. They will just spend time, doing what they love doing and what they're good at doing. So they won't necessarily move on to another job urgently if that urgency is not there. If they're not, 80% utilised, as an example. So one, having utilisation rates within the system, keeping track of the hours available, the hours sold, having your new business within the system as well are some nice just features to help reduce things like over-servicing and increase visibility on the business as a whole. The next area that I want to show you is the more day-to-day, rather than the visibility, the more day-to-day functionality side. So if I open up one of these opportunities, this is what we would describe as an opportunity card within the system. Within here, we should have all of the information regarding the particular opportunity held, that being your financial, invoicing, billing plans, your estimate, your quotes, activities. If I go on to our estimate, please do excuse the terminology. Obviously, I've just used this as a nice brief example. You can have templates set up. So if you've got different job types, you might want to have a different template for each of your different job types. What we're doing here is we're saying, based on that client's brief that's come in, how many hours do you think we need and who do we need? And if we go based on the standard charge rates that we have in place, these are the margins that we will be achieving. So we've got our gross profit margin, we've also got our net profit margin there. Now, one thing that's slightly different about this is very much a process and something that the system falls in line with. A lot of you might be working like this already, probably just doing it on another system or Excel or a number of different tools, is that we actually have a separate estimate and a separate quote. A lot of people that we start working with, they'll have an estimate which is also their quote. So say if the client comes to them with a budget, rather than keeping the hours as they are to meet the brief, they'll start reducing hours because they don't mind, giving a bit of new business discount or whatever it may be for. They're happy to do so. So they start ensuring that the hours basically fit to that budget. Whereas what we should be doing is estimating based on the brief. So realistically, this is how long it's going to take us. And then using our quote as our commercial, but what are we going to sell it for? Some people just use the same, so the estimate, quote it, and that's that. If you need to add value, if you need to reduce value, doing it here will help your resource management, capacity planning, also things like over-servicing, like mentioned before, because if we have an accurate number of hours, we'll then be giving the studio creative team an accurate number of hours. They'll then be hopefully recording an accurate number of hours. The only things there are stuff like, okay, well, if we have over-serviced on it, why? Potentially it's because the client moved the goalpost, because we know our estimate was nice and accurate in the first place, which again is another reason for over-servicing occurring. It just gives you that flexibility to do your commercial, financial side of it, and also your resource management. What you can also do then is say things like, okay, well, within our design phase, we've got, say, 100 hours estimated. What we now want to do is say, well, how long have we got to do those 100 hours? Have we got 1 week? Have we got 1 month? We're now putting a duration on it. So when we're looking at our capacity plans, if we ever use freelancers, we can say, well, actually, based on all of the schedules that are in the system, based on the time, the potential capacity coming through, we know that's accurate because we've not reduced or increased the hours based on the budget. We've completely stuck to the brief as much as we can and potentially use templates as well. We're now saying what resource do we need when? Another thing that this is good for is it feeds into the scheduling tool automatically. So we're basically putting a due date on this phase by doing that. And we've also got dependencies. We can put things like milestones. If you want any more information on this area, then please do contact me afterwards and I'll go into it in a bit more detail. Let's now move on to our scheduling tool. So what we would do is we would say, okay, let's promote this opportunity to a live job. So when promoting, that's now a live job. Everything stays the same, it's just the status. We're now able to say, right, let's book this then. And this is where I'm going to take you to our calendar bookings tool, which looks rather colourful. So on the left-hand side, I've got my teams. You don't have to have teams, but you can have more than those two if you want to. You've got your teams, you've got your resource. Within here, you've got their bookings, and then at the bottom, you've got those hours that have been estimated for the job. You can look at all jobs at once. You can look at one client, one job. It's entirely up to you how you filter this. But here we've got the number of hours in which have been estimated, and all we do is we drag and drop like so. That person will then have it in their own individual calendar. So this is one of the areas which is reducing the risk of any error. If you're using online tools, sometimes it's hard to take your estimate and then schedule. Sometimes they're completely separate, in fact. By doing this, we know that we're giving that resource, John Smith, a nice accurate number of hours. We know our estimate was accurate because we've not done it based on commercials. We've done it based on the time we actually need. Another thing that we can do is you'll notice we've got some icons. So if I go on to my own individual calendar, so I'm in the calendar here. If I say my calendar, I'll show you where these icons are pulling through. We've got, and actually, just to quickly mention for those of you that know Synergist quite well, these are some of the new features that I'm going over now. So these calendar areas, just to note, are some new features, some brand new updates. We've got here all of my bookings. If I select this one, we can see that it's actually in progress. So we've now got some nice emojis, which for whether it be a traffic manager or whoever it is that's using that calendar bookings tool can go in and see exactly what is happening at any time on a live basis. You're able to say complete, you're able to say stalled, and you're also able to say, I need more time. That person, if I say, I need more time, it will actually send an alert to the handler from, say, the designer or whoever it is recording the time to say that more time is required. When you're looking at the calendar, if something's complete and actually they've completed it in less time than was estimated, it may be that, okay, well, let's drop something else onto them. If an urgent job comes through the business, we've then got the ability to say, that person's available now, let's drop something onto them. We've also got a timer. Some people like using these, others don't. It's completely optional. And we've also got quick timesheet. So we can say, how long did I spend working on this job? Was it 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? And we can also write some notes there. So it's all really, really nice and easy. Time recording is a really big challenge that we come across with working in fact, any businesses. It's not fun to do. So if we make it as easy and as organisationally beneficial for them, hopefully you'll get nice, accurate timesheets out of a system like this as well. And also giving them, the correct number, the correct amount of time to actually complete the work is a really crucial thing there as well with the time recording, rather than them being given less hours to fit in with the client's budget, when realistically they know they're never going to be able to do it in that time, but they record less time than they've actually taken. It just puts all of the data out. So trying to be as honest and accurate throughout the whole process in the system is really key here. Just going back to our calendar bookings, another area that we now have is we've actually got a loading view. So again, those of you that have used the system before, this is a nice new feature. We can now select our loading view, and what it's telling us is green is that this person's only got 1 hour booked in, so they're available to have more dragged and dropped onto them. This person has got 9 hours, so actually we've overbooked this person for Wednesday. If it's amber, which is another colour that could show up in here, that means that they're fully booked. So you would set the individuals to be, 7.5, 8 hours per day. If you drop that amount on, it will show us this person's fully booked, you can't drop any more, although you can still drop some more if you need to. Okay, right, I am running out of time, so I'm going to quickly show you the management dashboard as well. I also want to show you the jobs list really quickly after this, so please do bear with me. And if you would like any more information on any of this afterwards, like I said, please do contact me. I'm more than happy to go through this on a one-to-one basis. This is our management dashboard. We've got a nice financial summary, billings forecast, staff utilisation, and top clients. Now, this top clients I want to talk about real quickly. So this is so useful within an agency, whether you've got retained clients, whether you've got ad hoc projects running through. This is showing your top 5 clients, and I've got mine based on turnover within any particular period. So I've got mine set January to May. What we can start doing is we can start almost using this as a daily health check. So if we start, or not daily potentially, but quarterly or monthly, if we start seeing one of our clients appearing within here that they haven't necessarily before, perhaps we can start looking into that client within the system and seeing how we can grow that client, almost embrace that they're becoming really profitable to us as a business. Let's build relationships. Let's, prioritize some time with them. If you've got a client that within your business, you're continuously picking the phone up to, everybody knows who they are, you're always busy, doing amends, doing work for them, but actually they're not showing in here, that's a real eye-opener, actually, when integrating a system like this sometimes. That then gives you something, it gives you that visibility to make your own informed decisions regarding that, whatever it is. Let's try and reduce some of that over servicing, because they should be in here if we're that busy with them, or potentially prioritize on other clients that are really profitable to us. I know that's obviously, when I'm saying all of this, it's always a lot easier said than done. I understand that, but it just gives you that access to make nice informed decisions, or potentially not so nice informed decisions. Okay, last tab before I let you all go. So here we've got our list of live jobs. This here is almost like a nice hub area of the project management system or agency management system. So we've got all of our live jobs. We've got these thermometer bars, which are incredibly useful. They're showing us how far through our budget we are. If we've estimated 100 hours, 50 hours have been recorded, it's going to show that we're 50% of the way through our budget on that job. What we can then do is we can actually go into that job and say, okay, well, we're 50% of the way through the budget. Are we actually 50% of the way through the work? Or has there been some human error? Has the client moved the goalposts? Were we on track until they sent back loads of amendments? It just gives you the instant access to find out exactly how you're doing on each of your live jobs. And top tip for that is recording time daily, which we've hopefully made nice and easy to do within the system. You've also got an app, so you can use an online app, a phone app as well to make that even easier. You can also set up different views. So I've got things like 12-month retained account, design jobs due next week. I've got my own jobs. I've got an IKEA project. If you've got a number of different jobs for one particular client, you can keep those all nicely together. So this system is not only beneficial from, a managing reporting perspective and growing your business and in being able to make those informed decisions based on accurate data, it's also really good for day-to-day use and efficiency of the business. So, like I said, if anybody would like any more information, please do contact me. I'm afraid I'm going to have to finish there because I have just gone over. I've just had a question though, so I'm just going to quickly read that. For those of you that need to go, thank you ever so much for your time. The question that I have is, how do charge codes work when it comes to logging timesheets? So each individual within the system is set up as a user, and they would have a charge code allocated to them. So if, for example, you've got a designer, their charge code would be set up as a designer. You can have a couple of different charge codes associated to one person, but we would probably recommend, if they're a designer and actually they do some work that was originally estimated for, say, the design director, then still for them to record time against a designer. So you can actually see, well, we estimated for a design director, a designer's actually done the work, therefore maybe we need to update the estimate for it just to be a designer. Just a designer can do that work. So yeah, to answer your question, charge codes are set up within the background of the system. They've got costs associated. They've also got individual charge rates associated as well. Another thing you can do is, if you've got a number of different designers, you could have an average cost rate and an average charge rate for that designer, meaning that when you're estimating, you might not know which designer is going to be doing it at that one point. So that's just called resource level costing within the system. When they then record the time, it will take into account the actual individual, not the average. So hopefully that has answered your question. If anybody has any more questions, please do let me know. Thanks ever so much for everyone joining. I'll try and catch up with everybody either this week, although we're already on Thursday, or potentially next week now. So hopefully speak to you all soon. Thank you ever so much, and have a great day.